When you crave being liked, you've already surrendered. You don't even know it, but you've laid down your weapon and handed over your soul. That need to be accepted, to be praised, to be included, it's a weakness disguised as virtue, and the world feeds off it. They'll give you applause as long as you play the clown, as long as you keep your head down and your opinions soft. But the second you grow teeth, the second you walk your own path without asking for permission, the love turns to silence, or worse, hate. And that's exactly where the shift begins. Being liked is easy, it's cheap, it costs nothing because it demands nothing. But respect is built in the fire. It's earned when you make hard choices that alienate you. It's earned when you tell the truth even when everyone else is lying. It's earned when you suffer in silence, when you take the hits and never complain, when you stand tall while the rest bend over for comfort. The world doesn't respect those who seek approval. It never has. The moment they sense you want to be liked, they know they can bend you. They know you'll sell your edge, soften your tone, dilute your truth just to stay in their good graces. And they'll keep you in that prison as long as you let them. You'll never lead like that. You'll never dominate. Because a man who wants to be liked is always on a leash. Every room he walks into, he scans faces for smiles. Every decision he makes, he wonders who he might offend. That's not strength. That's not power. That's servitude dressed up in manners. You don't lead the pack by blending in. You rise when you accept that being misunderstood is part of the price. That being feared is more useful than being adored. You want to be respected. Do something that scares people. Not in a reckless way, not with noise, but by living at a level they can't comprehend. Speak the truth they won't. Take responsibility they run from. Stand alone where they all gather like sheep. That's when people start watching you differently. That's when the silence changes. That's when their eyes track you when you move, not because they like you, but because they know you won't fold. Because they know you're not one of them. Respect is built when you do what others can't, and you don't ask for applause when you do it. It's built in the way you carry yourself when no one's watching, and it echoes when everyone finally is. This is the kind of respect that doesn't fade. That doesn't need to be renewed by likes or compliments. This is the kind of respect that builds reputation, legacy, and fear in the hearts of weak men. It's dark, it's cold, but it's pure. You become the one they think about when they're alone, the one they avoid lying to, the one they don't joke around with because they know you mean business. And not because you threatened them, not because you begged for it, but because you walked through the fire without blinking and came out without asking anyone to clap. Most men walk into a room and scan it, not for opportunity, not for threats, but for approval. They look around like beggars, hunting for a smile, a nod, any sign that they're accepted. That's how the weak move. That's how the soft survive. But the ones who have built themselves in solitude, they don't walk in looking for anything. They are the reason the room shifts. They've built something inside themselves so immovable, so viciously stable, that they don't even need to speak to be felt. That kind of power doesn't come from being liked. It comes from suffering, from pain, from doing the hard things repeatedly when no one's watching and no one's clapping. It's forged through discomfort. You don't get strong by being comfortable. You get strong by getting real with who you are when the lights go off. And it's just you and your demons. People think approval is currency. That if they just say the right thing, dress the right way, laugh at the right jokes, they'll earn respect. But it's all fake. Respect doesn't come from obedience. It doesn't come from playing the part. It comes from refusing to play it. You build it when you start saying no, when you stop needing to explain yourself, when your presence says everything that your mouth never has to. That only comes from being battle untested. It comes from breaking yourself on purpose, again and again, until you stop caring who approves of your rebuild. The truth is, people can feel when you need something from them. And once they sense it, you're done. You've already handed them the controls. When you need approval, they control your confidence. When you need praise, they control your motivation. When you need validation, they control your self-worth. That's the leash. That's what makes you soft. Because now your strength depends on their opinion. And that means it can be taken from you at any moment. The man who doesn't need that, he's untouchable. He walks in with his spine straight and his face unreadable. Not because he's trying to impress you, but because he already knows who he is. He doesn't speak to please. He speaks because there's something that needs to be said. When you build yourself in pain, your energy changes. You don't chase anymore. You attract. You don't follow trends. You move through the world like a ghost in steel armor. People feel you before they hear you, and that's not something you're born with. That's built, that's trained. You don't get it by reading quotes or listening to podcasts. You get it by doing what most men avoid, by facing what most men run from, and in that process you become cold, not cruel, cold enough not to need praise, cold enough to keep going when they turn their backs, cold enough to look a man in the eye and know his opinion means nothing compared to the war you've already fought with yourself. This is what separates the strong from the liked, the ones who bend and the ones who break things, the ones who get invited to the table and the ones who flip it over and build their own. You've got to kill the urge to explain yourself. That urge to defend your mindset, your ambition, your silence. It's weakness dressed as clarity. Every time you try to make people understand you, you give them a little piece of your control. You hand over your fire, one apology at a time, and the truth is, most people don't deserve to understand you. They haven't earned it. They haven't walked through what you've walked through. They don't see the hours, the pain, the nights when you were alone building something in the dark. So, why should they get access to the blueprint of your mind just because they ask? You owe them nothing. You're not here to be understood. You're here to be felt. When you move different, they won't get it. When you say no to the party, no to the distraction, no to the noise, they'll question you. When you start walking alone, when you start building a life on your own terms, when you start doing what they don't have the courage to do, they'll doubt you, criticize you, try to pull you back down, and if you're weak, if you're still addicted to their approval, you'll explain, you'll try to win them over. You'll shrink just to fit inside their comfort zone. But if you're real, you stay quiet, you keep moving. You let your results do the explaining, let your growth explain. Let your presence explain. Let your discipline explain. A man who's at war with comfort doesn't care about being liked. He doesn't care about being understood. He cares about truth. He cares about building something solid. And he knows that in that pursuit, some people are going to misunderstand him. Some will call him arrogant. Some will call him cold. Let them. That's the price of real work. You don't need a fan club to win. You don't need a round of applause to be dangerous. In fact, the moment everyone agrees with you, you've already lost your edge. Because when you start to live the way average men don't, their approval becomes irrelevant. It's not hate. It's a misalignment of values. They worship comfort. You train in pain. They chase quick wins. You play for legacy. When they don't get your silence, good. When they question your intensity, good. When they call you distant, focused, obsessed, good. That's confirmation. That means you're doing something right. Stop trying to prove them wrong with words. Prove it with silence. Prove it with action. Prove it by becoming so far removed from their level that you become untouchable. They can't understand what they've never lived through. They can't measure you because they've never seen a man like you before. And they shouldn't. That's the point. You're not here to be one of them. You're here to show them what it looks like when someone decides to never look back. Being unbothered isn't some soft, passive mindset. It's not about pretending you don't care or forcing a fake smile while pressure builds behind your eyes. It's about becoming so damn trained, so forged in pain, that nothing can reach your core. You've built a wall inside, not to hide, but to hold your ground. You've seen what happens when you react to everything, how it weakens you, how it makes you dance like a puppet on strings you don't even see. The strongest man in the room isn't the loudest. He isn't the one barking back. He's the one who doesn't flinch. He's the one whose stillness makes others uncomfortable. That's power. That's what most people will never understand. You think you're tough because you can throw a punch, raise your voice, post some fake motivational quote on your story. That's noise. That's theater. Anyone can perform. What most can't do is sit in silence while they're being doubted, tested, insulted, and keep moving like nothing touched them. That takes real strength. That takes internal discipline. That takes emotional control that only comes from walking through fire and refusing to scream. It's about mastering your reactions so deeply that people don't know if you're angry, cold, calm, or just a step ahead. That uncertainty becomes your weapon. When they can't read you, they fear you. When they don't know what gets to you, they realize nothing does. The real savage doesn't announce his presence. He doesn't need to be seen. He walks through the storm like it's a calm breeze because his peace was earned in chaos. You want to be that man? Then stop reacting to everything. Stop taking every opinion personally. Stop letting words move you like you've got no spine. You can't be dangerous if you're easily moved. You can't lead if you're always explaining. You can't win if your emotions own you. There's a reason people respect the one who keeps quiet when everyone else is losing their mind, because that's the man who's watching, calculating, preparing. Being still doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're focused. It means you've stopped giving your energy to things beneath your mission. You're not here to prove you're right. You're not here to settle petty arguments. You're not here to be the center of every conversation. You're here to dominate your life, and that takes energy. That takes control. That takes being unshakable when most are barely holding it together. They can't rattle you because you've already faced worse in your own mind. You've already survived darker battles when no one was watching. That's what makes you solid. That's what makes you different. That's what makes you the one they don't cross. You don't get this kind of control from reading books or talking tough. You earn it by sitting in your pain until it becomes your strength. You train your reactions like you train your body, through repetition, through failure, through discomfort. And eventually, you become the one they can't figure out. Not because you're hiding something, but because you've got nothing to prove and nothing to lose. You're too busy building something real to flinch at every distraction. Let them talk. Let them laugh. Let them judge. That's what they do when they don't understand someone who doesn't need their approval. Most people speak from their limitations, not their experiences. They haven't built anything. They haven't suffered for something real. So the only thing they can do is try to shrink what threatens them. And when you don't react, when you keep building, keep grinding, keep showing up, suddenly their words lose power. They want you to flinch. They want you to answer back, to engage, to get emotional, because that would mean they touched you. But the strongest response you'll ever give is none at all. Not silence out of weakness, silence out of superiority. Silence because you're too locked in to be pulled out by noise. You take their words, their doubt, their disrespect, and you don't carry it like a burden. You convert it, you turn it into heat, into fuel, into fire, into another rep in the gym when your body's done, into another late night when the world's asleep, into another chapter in the book you're writing with your scars. Let them feed your momentum, not slow it. You don't build strength by avoiding conflict. You build it by using every ounce of resistance to reinforce your foundation. The insults, the setbacks, the rejections, they don't define you unless you stop and look back at them. Let their hate age behind you while you evolve forward. That's how you win, quietly, brutally, completely. They'll call you arrogant because you don't shrink. They'll call you cold because you don't explain. They'll call you obsessed because you keep showing up when they quit. Let them. Every label they throw is a projection of their own weakness. What they call arrogance is your confidence. What they call cold is your boundaries. What they call obsession is your standard. You don't need to defend yourself. You need to keep walking. The man who uses their words as fuel doesn't get derailed by opinions. He builds so much proof in his actions that their words become laughable. You want to be dangerous? Then stop giving people access to your emotional state. Stop letting them pull you off course with a comment or a look. Stay locked in, stay silent, stay deadly. The weak speak for attention. The strong build in silence. You don't need their encouragement. You don't need their belief. You don't even need their respect in the beginning. Because the truth is, they'll never give it until you stop caring whether they do or not. And by then, it's too late. You'll already be too far ahead. You don't earn respect by asking for it. You earn it by becoming undeniable. By letting your presence silence rooms. By letting your work speak in volumes no voice could match. That's how the greats operate. That's how legends are made. They don't explain their hunger. They feed it. They don't beg to be seen. They move in a way that makes ignoring them impossible. Let them doubt you. Let them mock you. Let them think you're nothing. Then show them how a man turns noise into fuel, how he turns weakness into armor, how he turns silence into something that can't be broken. You were not born to be liked. You were born to be respected, to be solid, to be untouchable, and that doesn't happen by chasing praise or softening your edges for the comfort of cowards. It happens by becoming immune to their noise, to their doubt, to their expectations. You don't owe them your silence, your explanation, or your smile. You owe yourself greatness. You owe yourself a code that doesn't bend under pressure. You want to walk into a room and change the temperature? Then stop chasing acceptance and start building presence. Let your actions cut through their opinions. Let your discipline speak when your voice doesn't. Let your stillness shake what their loudness never could. You don't have to be liked. You have to be undeniable. And once they feel that, they'll stop talking and start watching. Respect isn't requested, it's taken. In silence, through fire, by force.